Good morning. The Policy and Intergovernment Affairs Committee will come to order. This is March 2nd, 2015, and it's 3 minutes after 9 a.m. Sorry for the late start. I am the chair, Michael Victorino, and I'd like to introduce the members that are present at this time. Others will be joining us shortly. Our vice chair of the committee, Mr. Don Couch.
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Good morning. Our member from East Maui, Mr. Robert Carroll.
Good morning, Chair.
Good morning. Our lovely young lady from Upcountry, Miss Gladys Baisa.
Good morning, Chair.
And the lovely young lady from Molokai, Miss Stacy Crivello.
Good morning, Chair.
Good morning. Excused at this time is Ellie Cochran, Ricky Okama, Don Guzman, and Mike White. They should be joining us shortly, and Mr. White probably will be joining us somewhere after 10 a.m. due to some other commitments and meetings that he has to attend. Yep. At this time, I'd like to introduce the administration. First of all, I'd like to introduce Mike Molina, Executive Assistant to the Mayor.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and
Good
committee
morning.
members.
I heard some, okay. And then Ed Kushi, First Deputy Corporation Counsel. Good morning. Our wonderful staff and invaluable staff, Sharon Brooks, who's sitting in for Kim Willenbrink, our legislative attorney, and Tammy Frias, our committee secretary. And at this time, entering the room is our member from Lanai, Mr. Ricky Okama.
Mr. Chairman.
Good morning. And then the young lady from West Maui, Miss Ellie Cochran.
Aloha, good morning, Chair.
Thank you very much for joining us. And also entering the room is our Vice Chair of the Council, Mr. Don Guzman.
Thank you, Chair. Apologize.
So we have 8 members at this time and 1 still excused. Moving right along, I'd like to, with no objection, check with our district offices at this time to see connectability. First of all, Dawn Lono from our HANA office. Dawn, are you there?
Yes, good morning, Chair. This is Dawn Lono at the HANA office.
Thank you, Dawn. Denise Fernandez from our Lanai office. Denise, are you there?
Good morning, Chair. This is Denise Fernandez on Lanai.
Thank you. And, of course, the young lady from Molokai, Ella Elkhorn. Ella, are you there? Ella, are you there? I know Ella was there earlier. I guess we'll try to make contact with the Molokai office. Can you email, please, just to make sure, please? Ella, is that you?
Yeah, I got disconnected. Sorry. This is Ella Alcon on Molokai.
Okay, thank you, Ella. Okay. We will now go into public testimony with no objections.
No objections.
Testimony will be limited to the items on today's agenda. If you wish to testify, please sign up at the desk located in the lobby on the 8th floor. In pursuance to Rule 17B, the rules of the council, for today's meeting, testimony will be limited to 3 minutes. At 2.5 minutes, the light will turn yellow, and at 3 minutes, the light will start blinking red. I will ask you at that point, if you're in the middle of a sentence, to please conclude and kindly stop. When testifying, please state your name and for whom you are testing, or any organization for whom you are testifying for. We've established limited contact with our district offices, and to be fair, I will try to rotate throughout each site. So what I would like to do at this time is I would like to take public testimony in the chamber. I have only 2 signed up at this time, and then if there's any more, then I'll check with the district offices and see if anyone else in the chamber or has arrived to testify. First testifier is Brian Lehman, and he'll be testifying on PIA 25. Brian, please. And then followed by Michelle McLean.
Good morning, committee members. I'm Brian Lehman. I'm commenting on the proposed reappointment of Christy Kajiwara Guzman to the Maui County Cultural Resources Commission. I emailed testimony to the committee on Friday. If you look at the photo attached, indicated by a white X, my approximate position at the time of the incident mentioned is in an approximate trajectory between a telephone pole and a stop sign. So I believe my ascertainment of not being on private property was reasonable. In any case, I'm unaware of any factors which would have justified being attacked by Ms. Guzman in the manner described. So I was quite amazed to subsequently learn this attack had come at the hands of a recently appointed Maui County government official. I was also quite dismayed upon viewing the previous committee meeting that Ms. Guzman had responded to what I assume was the account of the incident I posted to Facebook by saying that was not the way it happened. I believe it's inappropriate to continue to attack me by impugning my credibility. So you have my testimony, which I hope you'll consider carefully in reaching your decision on this appointment. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you, Mr. Lehman. Questions for Mr. Lehman? Seeing none, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. And then Michelle McLean, and Michelle will be speaking on PIA 2, 5 and 7. And she is the Deputy Director of the Planning Department. Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning, Chair, committee members. My name is Michelle Chateau-McLean. I'm your Deputy Planning Director, representing the Planning Department today. And I spoke at your last meeting, so I'll keep this very brief and just summarize my comments from before. The Planning Department staffs 8 permanent boards and commissions, plus we also have the Community Plan Advisory Committees and the General Plan Advisory Committee when those are impaneled. So it's very important to us from an administrative perspective to have members of our boards and commissions that we can really work with. And we look for diverse opinions and an overall balance on those boards and commissions. And the nominees that are before you today for our boards and commissions, we feel meet those goals. So I just ask for your support. And I can be here today until about 10 if you have any questions as you go through. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McLean. Any questions for Ms. McLean? Seeing none, thank you very much. Seeing no other testifiers in the gallery at this time, I will again make one more opportunity if you sign up at the back desk and bring it forward. But let me at this point check with our district offices. First of all, I'll start with the HANA office. Don Lono, do you have anyone wishing to testify?
There is no one waiting to testify at the HANA office, Chair.
Thank you. Lanai, Denise, do you have anyone wishing to testify?
Chair, we currently have one testifier, and that is Winnie Vasquez, and she's going to be testifying on item number PIA 25.
Go ahead, Ms. Vasquez.
Good morning. How are you folks this morning? It's a cold morning. Okay. I am opposition with these 2 gentlemen who did not show up when they sign in for do this commissioner. What is going on? When they sign up, this is an obligation to the community as well as to themselves. I cannot see these kind of people signing up and not being at the office to testify on their behalf. I am in opposition for these 2 gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Vasquez. But let me make one clarification. At the last hearing here, Mr. Clements did attend. Mr. Barfield was unable to attend. So I just want that to be noted on the record, Ms. Vasquez.
Correct.
Thank
I
you.
have been on all these meetings on the island of Lanai,
Yes.
and I do not see he testifying on any subject that is on the agenda.
Thank you for that clarification. In other words, they haven't attended meetings in Lanai.
I don't think it's right. I don't think it's ethical. What they're doing over here, they're only here for themselves, not for the community as well.
Thank you very much. Any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, thank you, Ms. Vasquez, for your testimony.
You're welcome, and you have a good, great day.
Thank you, my dear. You too. Anyone else in Lanai office wanting to testify?
There's no one else waiting to testify on Lanai.
Thank you. Then I'll go to Molokai. Ella, do you have anyone wishing to testify?
There's no one here on Molokai waiting to testify.
Do we have any more testifiers? Oh, you know what? You turned them upside down. That's okay. I got it. Oh, sorry. Right here. I apologize. Sorry. We have one more testifier in the gallery. There is Miss Christy Guzman, testifying on PIA 2-5. Miss Guzman, would you come up to the podium, please? Sorry about that.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, members of the council. As you know, my name is Christy Guzman, and I am up for appointment for the Cultural Resources Commission. I noticed that Mr. Lehman is here in the audience. I did not get to hear his testimony, as I was just called about 20 minutes ago and told that we were on schedule today. So, in our last meeting, we were put on hold, I guess, for the investigation of our incident that happened. I found it a little disappointing that Ms. Cochran, Councilmember Cochran, questioned my integrity about serving the county and the community and being on this council. Quite frankly, because I was never arrested for armed robbery. But she submitted something or showed something to us a few days ago, or the last time we were here, consisted of about 4 or 5 pages. And I don't think any of you are really interested in reading through this, but this is a record that I took to my attorney with pictures and everything that happened over the time that we were going through that election last year. Pictures of my personal property being damaged, pictures of my home that was posted on Facebook publicly, comments about coming to my house to take me out, various different things. What I want the council to remember today, also, during the Maui County Fair, my 9-year-old son was approached by a child just a little bigger than him, little white boy that, not being, in any way biased or prejudiced, walked up to him for no reason because he was wearing a Vote No t-shirt and punched him in the stomach. Okay, this is the kind of stuff that my family went through. Now, when I went to see my attorney, we looked over, I think, about 400 or 500 names. Most of these people, I want you guys to remember, do not own homes. They do not pay property taxes here. The pictures that we have of cars with Vote Yes stickers in drive-thru at McDonald's and other restaurants on the island, most of them, their taxes is expired. We are the people that put you guys here in office to serve us. And in return, I want to serve you guys, and I want to serve the members of our community
2.5 minutes.
that do what is right. I never missed a meeting. I've been to every single meeting since I was appointed. And I love doing what I do. So I humbly ask for all of your support today so I can continue to serve on the CRC. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Guzman. Questions for the testifier? Seeing none, thank you, Ms. Guzman. Do we have any other testifiers? I'll give the gallery one more opportunity. Anyone wishing to testify? We have no one else signed in. I'll go to the district offices. Lanai, do you have anyone wishing to testify?
There is no one else waiting to testify on Lanai.
Thank you. Molokai, anyone wishing to testify?
There's no one here on Molokai waiting to testify.
Hana, is there anyone wishing to testify?
There's no one waiting at the Hana office.
Thank you, ladies, for your time. With no objections, I'm going to close public testimony for today's meeting.
No objections.
Thank you. Got it? Okay. Today we have a pretty heavy agenda. We have 5 nomination items and an item relating to cyber security. And I have put that off for the past 2 meetings, and I really, really would like to give them an opportunity to speak about cyber communication. And at this time, I'd like to recognize the Chair of the Council, Mr. Mike White. Thank you for being here.
Morning, Chair.
So today, I will begin with boards and commissions that we have not been able to finish from the last meeting. However, item 1 for the boards and commissions were for the Fire and Public Safety, Lanai Planning Commission, Liquor Adjudication, and the Maui Cultural and Resource. The first two items, I should say, were members coming in from the outlying districts. The Lanaians have taken the boat, they're on their way in, and with your permission, I would like to push that item behind the others so that we can give them an opportunity to be interviewed when they arrive. Is there any objections to that?
No objections.
Thank you very, very much. So then we'll move to item number 2. And this committee is in receipt of correspondence dated February 10, 2015, received on February 10, 2015 from the mayor, transmitting a proposed resolution entitled Appointment of a Member to the Kula Agricultural Park Committee for the County of Maui, along with the completed application form for the nominee. The proposed resolution is to approve or disapprove the appointment of James Leahy to the Kula Agricultural Park Committee for a term expiring March 31st, 2018, to fill the vacancy due to the resignation of Lorraine Brooks. There is no time limit for the council to approve or disapprove this nomination. At this time, I would like to ask Mr. Molina from the administration to provide a few comments on the nominee. Mr. Molina.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, committee members. The administration would like your support of Mr. Leary to the Kula Ag Park Commission or Committee. He would serve in the capacity as the UH Co-op Extension Service representative on that board. And with that being said, I'm open for any questions with regards to his appointment, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any questions for Mr. Molina on Mr. Leary? You have the application in front of you, so if you have any questions. Seeing none, I'd like to make my recommendation.
Recommendation.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Would you like to hear from Mr. Leary? I apologize.
Yes.
I'm moving this along. I really would. Mr. Leary, would you come forward? I apologize for not giving an opportunity to say a few words. My apology.
I thought I was going to escape without having to say anything.
Yeah. No luck, Mr. Leary. Sorry.
Morning,
Good morning,
Chair.
sir.
Morning, committee members. Yes, so my name's Dr. James Leary with the University of Hawaii. I'm a specialist with split appointments. So my area of expertise is in weed management with research and extension. Located on Maui, I've been here for 6 years now. I've worked collaboratively with the Maui Invasive Species Committee, also the Maui Cattlemen's Association, working on problems that improve the productivity of our natural resources, watersheds, and agricultural systems. So I have a background in horticulture, weed management, and molecular ecology, and look forward to opportunities to serving on the Kula Ag Park Committee. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Very impressive. Very impressive. I'll start with the district representative, Ms. Baisa. Would you like any questions for Mr. Leary?
Thank you very much, Chair. No questions, but I am very impressed with your background. It's very appropriate. I served on the Kula Ag Park Committee myself for 4 years, so I'm familiar what it does, and I think it's wonderful. Thank you for volunteering.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Carroll, do you have any questions?
No questions. Just I'm very pleased with applicants' knowledge in the area. Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. White.
Thank you, Chair. No questions, but I've got lots of fireweed for him to take a look at.
We have solutions.
Okay. Mr. Guzman.
No further questions. Thank you.
Mr. Hokama? No? Ms. Crivello?
No further questions.
Mr. Couch?
No questions.
Ms. Cochran?
None at this time. Thank you.
Okay. I think you're good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So now, with no more discussion, I'd like to make my recommendation.
Recommendation.
The chair would like to entertain a motion to approve the nomination of James Leary to the Kula Agricultural Park Committee for a term expiring March 31st, 2018. Mr. Couch.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to approve the resolution entitled Appointment for a Member of the Kula Agricultural Park Committee for the County of Maui by moving the name James Leary to Exhibit B. Mr. Chair, do you want to file the one communication or leave that open?
Recess. Do I want to file this?
The February 10th one.
Yeah, okay. Received on February 12, 2015, from the mayor transmitting a proposed resolution entitled Appointment of a Member to the Board of Ethics for the County of Maui. Along with the completed application of the nominee, the proposed resolution to approve or disapprove the appointment of Sarah Gardarian to the Board of Ethics for the term expiring March 31st, 2015, to fill the vacancy of the resignation of Aida. I know the last name. How do you pronounce the first name? Lila? Okay, Lila Aida. Who has resigned, I'm sorry. The council may approve or disapprove the nomination by April 13, 2015, or the nomination would be deemed approved. This is a very short appointment because it expires at the end of this month. Now, Ms. Gardarian was here at our last meeting and spoke, so I didn't ask her to come back. I think we all had an opportunity, those that were here had an opportunity to hear from her. So at this time, Mr. Molina, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. If you'd allow me to provide a clarification on this appointment. As you recall, Ms. Gardarian was previously approved by you in committee back at the February 18th meeting for a 5-year term. The person she's replacing, Ms. Inaba, had indicated to us via email back in early October of 2014 her intentions to resign, but never formally at that time submitted a signed resignation letter, which is required by code. So it took us some time to finally get her to submit a signed resignation letter, which didn't occur till sometime in mid-January. So considering the short time left on Ms. Inaba's term, the administration had basically two choices, either to fill the vacancy or miss the deadline and give the council the responsibility to fill the vacancy, in which the council could choose to either fill it or let the term expire without an ethics board member, leaving the board with basically only 8 people. Ms. Gardarian, again, as I mentioned, whom you had approved back in February 18th, agreed to have her name just put on this for consideration. It may be more of a formality because by the time, assuming she passes out of committee today and then it goes on to council, there is a chance she may not be approved in time for the board's next meeting. But just in case the board decided to have a special meeting, just to be on the safe side, it would have been more appropriate to have a person fill in that slot, just in case there was, an important special meeting that would come up, aside from the normal once-a-month meeting of the Ethics Board. So that, in a nutshell, is why we have this here today. So if there is no other Ethics Board meeting, or she's unable to attend this meeting coming up, it may be looked at more of a sake of formality. So that is how we arrived at this point, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, and I'm open for any questions.
Well, thank you. And now that's been clarified, I feel a lot better, because I was kind of curious how this all came about. Thank you for that clarification. Questions for Mr. Molina? Seeing none, I'd like to make my recommendation. Members, the chair would like to entertain a motion to approve the nomination of Sarah Gardarian to the Board of Ethics for a term expiring March 31st, 2015. Mr. Couch.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to approve the resolution entitled Appointment of Member to the Board of Ethics for the County of Maui by placing the name of Sarah Gardarian to Appendix B.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Couch, seconded by Ms. Baisa, to approve the nomination of Sarah Gardarian to the Board of Ethics for a term expiring March 31st, 2015. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Let the record show 9 ayes, no noes, and no excused. Thank you very much. Moving on to the item number 4, nominations to boards and committees. This one is, we are in receipt of correspondence dated February 23rd, 2015 from the Department of Corporation Counsel transmitting a revised proposed resolution entitled Appointment of a Member to the Urban Design Review Board for the County of Maui. The proposed resolution proposes to have the approval or disapproval of the appointment of David Serena to the Urban Design Review Board for a term expiring March 31st, 2020. And this one has no time limit for Corporation Council, for the council to approve or disapprove this nomination. This nomination was deferred from the last meeting so that the committee would be allowed to speak to Mr. Serna and to his qualifications to serve on this county board and related to his citizenship. Mr. Molina was here representing the administration. He provided us some information about David's citizenship. So at this time, Mr. Molina, I'll call David up to the podium. And Mr. Molina, would you like to inform the members of the concerns you had and what you have found out since?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and committee members. Prior to the last meeting, Mr. Serreta did disclose to us that he was a Canadian citizen and he was certainly concerned about his eligibility to serve on a county board or commission. And we certainly appreciate his honesty in coming forward with this disclosure, which is why we ask for your consideration to defer decision-making on this matter at the February 18th meeting. Since that time, Mr. Serreta has submitted a letter declaring his current status, which I believe should be in your binder, and it has been deemed by Corporation Council that he is eligible to serve under HRS. And with your permission, Mr. Chair, I'd like to defer to Corp Council for a more detailed explanation.
That'd be fine. Mr. Kushi, would you like to give us a more clarified explanation, please?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Mr. Molina requested my office to look into this as far as qualifications to serve on boards and commissions. And my understanding is that, well, based on our research, there's nothing in the county code nor the county charter about citizenship for boards and commissions, Maui County. There is an HRS section, though, that covers all boards and commissions statewide, and basically says that they shall be either a citizen or a permanent resident alien, which I believe Mr. Serreta has shown proof of, and be a resident of the county at the time of appointment. So that being said, we feel Mr. Serreta is qualified in terms of citizenship.
Mr. Kushi.
Yes.
I was informed that we did not receive anything from your office, or maybe Mr. Molina can give me some clarification because there's nothing in the binder as I was looking for it. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sorry, we'd assumed that we had forwarded you the Mr. Serreta's citizenship status letter. Apparently never got forwarded to you. I thought we had, but anyway, we will certainly get a copy of his letter to you. I'm not sure if maybe Mr. Serreta has a copy of his letter for you that you could make copies if you want it in a more immediate fashion. But we apologized for that.
Mr. Serreta, do you have a copy of that letter in question?
I don't have a copy with me, no.
Okay, David, no problem. You don't have a copy with you either, Mr. Molina.
I have it in my office, so I could ask folks upstairs.
While we interview Mr. Serreta, would you kindly get that for us? Sure. Could someone bring it up, and then we can make copies and pass it out to the committee members? Thank you, Mr. Molina. Mr. Serreta, good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to see you, sir.
You too.
And I will disclose that I've known Mr. Serreta for a while because we are fellow Knights of Columbus, and he's a member of the St. Joseph Church up in Makawao. So I've known Mr. Serreta for quite a while. Mr. Serreta, would you like to go ahead and give a little history of yourself, please?
Sure. Thank you, and good morning. My name is David Serreta. I'm a landscape architect. I work for Chris Hardin Partners here in Wailuku, and I've been employed there since 2001. I grew up in Canada and lived several years overseas as well in different parts of the world. But from an education standpoint, I have a bachelor's degree in economics from the University of Alberta and a master's degree in landscape architecture from University of British Columbia in Vancouver. And like I said, I moved here in 2001 and have been working as a landscape architect for Chris Hardin Partners. The reason I would like to serve on the UDRB is, having presented at that many times. I feel like I have a fairly good understanding of its values and its intent and its purpose that it serves on Maui, and I fully support that. And I think that the UDRB brings a certain level, a commitment to a certain level of quality for its design and development projects that come before it, and I fully support that. I think that's what Maui deserves and what the community deserves, is that increased level of quality.
Okay, thank you. Questions for the nominee? I'll start with our Vice Chair, Mr. Couch, and we'll just move down the line, Ms. Cochran and so forth. Go ahead, Mr. Couch.
No questions at this time.
Thank you. Ms. Cochran.
Thank you, Chair. No, I think, thank you for the willingness to volunteer and serve. Just, I think the overall question we always ask is the time constraints, if any, on your behalf.
I'm willing to make the commitment. I understand the time constraints. I understand, what the commitment is on a weekly, monthly, yearly basis. And I've spoken with my employer, and he fully supports my decision to serve, and I'm willing to make that commitment. I think it's important enough to do that.
Okay, well, very good. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Ms. Baisa.
No questions, but thank you very much.
Mr. Carroll.
No question.
Thank you. Mr. White.
No questions. Looks very well qualified.
Thank you. Mr. Guzman.
I'm very familiar with Mr. Sarita qualifications, so I'm satisfied. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hokama. And Ms. Crivello. Thank you. Would you prefer waiting for the letters for clarification, or are you okay with me making my recommendation?
Recommendation.
Okay. Okay.
Excuse me.
Yes, Mr. Sarita, I'm sorry.
Sorry, allow me to add also about in terms of my citizenship. I probably should
if that's all right, the members?
No.
Yeah, okay, go ahead, Mr. Sarita.
So in 2001, I moved here on a professional temporary visa, which is an annual renewable visa called a TN. And so I had that visa for about 6 years before I married a girl from Maui, and then got my permanent resident status in 2007. The permanent resident status is another name for a green card. So I'm a permanent resident of the U.S., but a Canadian citizen. Thanks.
Okay. Any more questions on that, or are we okay? Yes, Ms. Crivello.
Are you, thank you for being here. Are you planning to be a citizen? Or are you going to retain your Canadian citizenship?
I am planning on becoming a U.S. citizen eventually, yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Sarita.
Okay.
You can have a seat now.
Thanks.
Thank you. So with no further discussion, I'd like to make my recommendation.
Recommendation.
Thank you. The chair would like to entertain a motion to approve the nomination of James Sarita to the urban. I lost my spot. Sorry, one moment, please. Okay. Okay, thank you. The approval to appointment of a member to the Urban Design Review Board for the County of Maui, expiring March 31st, 2020. Mr. Couch.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to adopt the proposed resolution entitled Appointment of the Members of the Urban Design Review Board for the County of Maui by adding the name of Mr. David Sarita to Appendix B.
Mr. Chair, I second the motion.
It's been moved by Mr. Couch, seconded by Ms. Baisa, to approve the appointment of David Sarita to the Urban Design Review Board for the term expiring March 31st, 2020. We have somebody new, so please forgive me. And to make any non-substantive revisions to the resolution itself. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Let the record show 9 ayes, no noes, and no excused. Moving right along, we will now go to okay, we will now look at County Communication, February 19, the committee is in receipt of county communication February 19, 2015, received on February 19, 2015, from the mayor, transmitting a proposed resolution entitled An Appointment of a Member to the Affirmative Action Advisory Council for the County of Maui, along with the completed application form for the nominee. The proposed resolution is to approve or disapprove the appointment of Judy Eager to the Affirmative Action Advisory Council for the term expiring March 31st, 2018, and to fill the vacancy of the resignation of Mr. Michael Kawagishi. Kawagishi. The council must approve or disapprove this nomination by April 20th, 2015, or the nomination will be deemed approved. Mr. Molina, who is representing the administration, will have a few comments. And is Ms. Eager here? Okay, you are here. Okay. Mr. Molina, I will let you start. And Ms. Eager, if you would come to the podium. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Committee members, the administration is pleased to have Ms. Eager apply for this position, which is a requirement to have a county employee on the Affirmative Action Advisory Council. Ms. Eager is currently employed as a systems analyst for the County of Maui, and has also been involved in several community, organizations, one namely the past chairperson for the Siberia Hall Craft Fair. And she's certainly expressed an enthusiasm in wanting to continue to serve and give back to our community, so we're indeed grateful for her wanting to volunteer her time. And she did clear with us that she has the approval, or wouldn't be a problem for her to attend meetings for this advisory council. They typically meet, I believe, in the early afternoon. But they do not meet as frequently as some of our other boards and commissions, which typically meet once a month. This particular commission or council meets more on an as-needed basis, so roughly 2 to 3, maybe 4 times a year. So with that being said, I'll yield the floor to Ms. Eager. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Molina. Ms. Eager, good morning.
Hello. It's Judy Egger.
Many
people mispronounce that, so don't feel bad.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Egger.
I was only on the shift committee, the chairman of the shift committee for the craft fair, because to be the overall chairman would be a daunting task. I have been a county employee for about 10 years, and I work for the IT services division. I had filled out an application to serve on a board because my children are grown up, and I figured it was time to get back to the community.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Couch, we'll start with you.
No questions.
No questions? Ms. Crivello.
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Okama. Mr. Guzman. No questions? Mr. White.
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Carroll. Ms. Baisa.
No questions, thank you very much.
And Ms. Cochran.
Not at this time, thank you.
Okay, very good. So, thank you, and you may have a seat.
Thank you.
At this time, if there's no further discussion, I'd like to make my recommendation.
Recommendations.
The chair would like to entertain a motion to approve the nomination of Judy Eager to the Affirmative Action Advisory Council for the term expiring March 31st, 2018. Mr. Couch.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to approve a proposed resolution entitled Appointment of a Member to the Affirmative Action Advisory Council for the County of Maui by placing the name of Judy Egger to Exhibit B.
Mr. Chair, I second the motion.
The motion has been made by Mr. Couch, seconded by Ms. Baisa, to approve the nomination of Judy Eager to the Affirmative Action Advisory Council for a term ending March 31st, 2018. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Let the record show 9 ayes, no noes, and no excuse. Thank you very, very much. At this time, the Lanayans are still on their way, and with your permission, I would like to take a morning recess and call up the IT department and have them do their presentation, and we will take the Lanayans after they arrive. They may not be here for another 15 to 20 minutes, and I don't want to, I just want to give everybody enough time. So is there any objection to moving these nominations to back of the calendar for today?
No objection.
Okay, so we'll take a 10 minutes break. I'll ask everybody to come back at 9:55, and at that point, we will do our IT cyber issue with all of you. So this meeting now stands in recess.
Please answer me, Kamalani.
And Intergovernment Affairs Committee. At this time, we're going to take up PIA 42, Cybersecurity. The committee is in receipt of County Communication 13-226 from Councilmember Ricky Okama relating to cybersecurity, including the county's role in cybersecurity and the current practices in dealing with cybersecurity issues. Today we have Ms. Sherman and Mr. Jacob Verkerke from the, Ms. Sherman's first name is Karen, and Mr. Jacob Verkerke, who are here from the IT division. Would you please join us at the administration table? And they're there. Thank you very, very much. At this time, I'm going to allow them, if they want to say anything in public, they may. But I am pursuing this meeting into executive session because there are items that need to be discussed in executive session. So at this time, I will open the floor to Mr. Verkerke or Ms. Sherman for any opening comments. Mr. Verkerke.
Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. Thank you for this opportunity to provide you with an update on the county's efforts to provide appropriate cybersecurity. As you may recall, the last time we were here, we had announced that we were participating in a self-assessment and were submitting the documents to the various federal organizations that deal with that. We have received the results and their opinion of what we submitted to them, and we'd like to discuss that with you, as it will touch on current strengths and weaknesses and our intents of how to mitigate that. I'd prefer not to get into the details in open session, but I would welcome any questions that would be appropriate for open session. Thank you.
Thank you. And I will give anyone an opportunity, starting with Mr. Okama, since this was his communication in open session. But again, be cognizant that these are very sensitive issues, and I would really prefer going into executive session to have a full and detailed report from the IT department. But I'll start with Mr. Okama.
Chairman, thank you. And thank you for providing this item an opportunity for today's agenda. I would just say that this is a national issue, or should I say a national crisis. I mean, Hawaii, we just read when we were at our national conference, HMSA got hit.
Mm-hmm.
So for many of us, that's our personal history, our medical history, our personal information that may be compromised. So this is a new world we live in. Homeland Security is definitely concerned about the levels of cybersecurity for not only government but our critical businesses that require confidential integrity. And I think that as we are moving forward from the enforcement component, one of the things that I believe would be critical in the appropriate venue would be how this county is going to deal with forensic requirements, or the ability for us to ensure that we can get the bad guy and punish the bad guy as quickly and as heavily as possible. So those are some of the things. It's a new world regarding insurance and other components regarding this subject matter. So I would await Mr. Verkerke in the right venue to be able to share with the committee the critical information. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Okama. And I'd like to recognize also that at our NACO legislative conference, Mr. Couch and Ms. Cochran attended some of the seminars when it came to cybersecurity and cyber issues. And I want to thank them. For some of the rest of us, we are busy with other meetings, so we couldn't be there. But I think from what I gathered at both the national, at the agricultural and rural roundtable, cybersecurity has also become a big issue with a lot of the farming community. And so these are issues that are surrounding us, like you say, Mr. Okama. in every aspect of our lives. So with no objections, I would like to recommend going into executive session. Any objections?
No objections.
Okay, so I understand to receive this report, the county's current cybersecurity status, that you have planned to address the cybersecurity threats in the executive session pursuant to Section 92-5A6 Hawaii Revised Statute, which provides for consideration of sensitive matters that relate to public safety or security. So at this time, Mr. Couch, I would like to ask you to make the motion to go into executive session, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to go into executive session pursuant to HRS 92-5A6 and potentially HRS 92-5A4 of Hawaii Revised Statutes to consult with legal counsel on issues pertaining to the powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and liabilities of the county, the council, and the committee.
Mr. Chair, I second the motion.
Thank you. It has been moved by Mr. Couch, seconded by Ms. Baisa, to go into executive session pursuant to Section 92-5A6. And you said another one, but I had that was not considered, the chair wasn't considering that, and I'm not going to recognize that part at this time, okay? Because I was told that that wasn't necessary at this time. So I'll just recognize the portion of Section 92-5A6 of the Hawaii Revised Statute. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you. We will take a brief recess to go into executive session. This committee stands in recess. Policy and Intergovernmental Affairs Committee will reconvene. Thank you very much for that executive session. At this time, I would like for County Communication 13226, I would like to ask that that item be deferred so that we can continue working on it. Any objections to deferral? Thank you very, very much. Okay, moving on. The item number one, we will start with Fire and Public Safety Commission. Our next nominee is from the island of Lanai, Linda Fernandez. Oh, wait a minute. I don't have Mr. Molina. Can you check on Mr. Molina, please? And then in the meantime, if Ms. Fernandez, you'd like to come to the podium, please. You all have her nomination form in the folders. So, Linda?
Yes.
Welcome. Thank you for taking the time today to come all the way from Lanai to join us here. And I would like to give an opportunity to give an open statement as far as you and what you've done and what you believe you will bring to this Public Safety Commission, Fire and Public Safety Commission, I should say. Excuse me. Go ahead, Ms. Fernandez.
My name is Linda Fernandez. I'm from Lanai. I've worked on the Liquor Adjudication Board for the last 5 years. This is my last month. I feel for the Fire Commission, I want to see, like, Lanai is growing, so I want to make sure that, I'm part of the safety so we have, like, adequate equipment just in case we have, like, a big fire and all that kind of stuff. And, we have, like, the proper equipment to, kill the fires and stuff. And I feel I want to be on the Fire Commission and help out the community and stuff. And I really enjoyed the liquor adjudication a lot. If I could go back on, I so would.
So you enjoyed that very much.
I loved it. I really loved it. I've learned so much.
So let me ask you this question then. Did you make this your second choice or your first choice for reappointment or reservice to the community?
I was actually, I'm not really sure. I was offered it.
Okay.
Asked if I wanted to be on it.
Okay, you were offered this. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I will turn to the Lanaian representative, Mr. Hokama. Lanai, you know these people and you're part of that community, so I'll start with you and then work our way around. Go ahead, Mr.
Thank you, Chairman.
Hokama.
Ms. Fernandez has regularly shown interest in her community. She participates very actively. She currently serves us as a liquor adjudication commissioner. I believe if you check her record, I believe she attends every single meeting. I may be one meeting off or so, but she takes her responsibilities very seriously. And I think she would make a fine commissioner for the Fire and Public Safety Commission to represent Lanai's interests. So I am in full support of her confirmation, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Guzman.
Thank you, Chair. I would adopt the recommendations of my colleague from Lanai. Thank you.
Mr. Carroll?
Just a comment. Thank you so much for volunteering.
Ms. Paisa?
No questions. Thank you so much for your service. It appears you're just suited to do this kind of work. Thank you.
Ms. Cochran?
Thank you, Chair. And no questions. I will take to heart the comments from Mr. Hokama, and thank you for service to the community. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Couch?
No comments.
Ms. Crivello?
No comments, Chair.
Thank you. And I will add that thank you very much.
Okay.
And thank you for coming today. And you may have a seat.
Okay. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. The chair would like to make his recommendations. Thank you. The chair would like to entertain a motion to approve the nomination of Linda Fernandez to the Fire and Public Safety Commission for a term expiring March 31st, 2020. Mr. Couch.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can I have a short recess, sir?
Recess.
Ladies can amaze ya with something play every day. And so the rest I love and they say I saw you there. I had
Put the name of Linda Fernandez on Exhibit B for the outstanding resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Okama. Second. It's been moved by Mr. Couch, seconded by Mr. Okama, to approve the nomination of Linda Fernandez to the Fire and Public Safety Commission for a term expiring March 31st, 2020. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Let the record show 8 ayes, no noes, and 1 excused at this time, Chair White. Thank you very much, Ms. Fernandez, and congratulations. The next nominee, unfortunately, I have to inform the committee that we have received an email direct from Mr. Meyer asking to withdraw his application because of a new job. And unfortunately, he has at least let us know upfront that he's unable to make the meetings, and so that he would like to withdraw his name. So it is my hope that we can find someone in Molokai very soon. And Mr. Molina, would you like to make any further comments as far as the withdrawal of Mr. Meyer and what the mayor is planning to do?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and committee members. Yes, it's unfortunate that Mr. Meyer has indicated that he is unable to serve due to employment considerations, but we are in the process, upon hearing that, of looking for someone, and we certainly invite the island representative, Councilmember Crivello, as well as anyone else if there are some names that you would like the administration to consider to fill this vacancy.
Thank you.
I understand there are applicants, and some very qualified applicants
Yes.
that have submitted to sit on this commission, as well as an individual who actually initiated the wildfire task force on Molokai. So I would hope you would take the name and application into consideration, and really I would appreciate if you check with the district, because I was aware of Mr. Meyer's situation and made the contact with him as to how he was going to be able to participate, although I appreciate his interest as a young leader. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So with no more further discussion, I'd like to make my recommendation. The chair would like to move to disapprove the nomination of Mr. Elgin Yahi Meyer to the Fire, Public and Safety Commission for the term expiring March 31st, 2020. Disapprove. Mr. Couch.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to move the name of Elgin Keahi Meyer to Exhibit C on the resolution before us.
Sure. Thank you. It has been moved by Mr. Couch, seconded by Ms. Crivello, to disapprove the nomination of Mr. Elgin Yahi Meyer to the Fire and Public Safety Commission for the term ending March 31st, 2020. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Let the record show 8 ayes, no noes, and 1 excused. Chair White. Moving right along, we now move to the Lanai Planning Commission. Our first nominee for the Lanai Planning Commission is Mr. Jared Barfield. And if Mr. Barfield would come down, he is present, come down to the podium for an opening introduction and some statements. But before you do that, I will call upon Mr. Molina for any comments that he would like to bring forward. Please.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. The administration is pleased that Mr. Barfield has made himself available to be considered for a position on the Lanai Planning Commission. He's involved with several community organizations, as noted on his application. A softball organization, as well as he's also active with his employment and also his union activities as well. And he is a Lanaian, and we're certainly appreciative of the fact that he's wanting to contribute to the community and lend his thoughts on the Lanai Planning Commission. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Mr. Barfield, an opening statement, please.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the Council. My name is Jared Barfield. I've been an island resident for the past 35 years. I spent 5 years in the military, served 3 tours in the Gulf War, and came home to continue my life back on Lanai, where I was born and raised. As my testimony and as my applicant says, I did serve on CPAC for 10 months, and so I am well aware of the plans and the growth of the future for Lanai. And I want to continue to be a steward and the voice for people who may not be able to speak or cannot speak for themselves. So I'm a very large advocate of keeping Lanai, but we also need to grow and we also need to be sustainable. So I want to help to facilitate that.
Thank you, Mr. Barfield. I will again give the representative from Lanai first option for questions. Mr. Hokama?
Chairman, I don't have any questions for Mr. Barfield. I know his family. He is a Lanaian. And I think he represents a component of our community that I find encouraging. I would love to have more, not that it's an age thing, but it's good to see our young residents taking their proper places in governance in our community, especially those that are born and raised there, that understand our history, understand how we got there and where we would like to go as a community, being sensitive that we retain who we are as Lanaians, because there's only a few thousand of us, so it's a special thing to be a Lanaian, and not everyone is, unfortunately, Chairman. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Crivello?
No comments. Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Couch?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. Barfield, for being here. And thank you for serving on the CPAC. I know that was a tough one to do. And you're obviously pretty much aware of the same time commitment, or if not more, for the Lanai Planning Commission. Is that right?
Yes, I am, Mr. Couch. Currently, my wife sits on the Planning Commission. She'll be coming off this year, and then I'll be going on. So I have been active since CPAC.
So you know the homework that's involved then?
I do.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Cochran?
Yeah, no questions at this time. Thank you.
Ms. Paisa?
No questions, but I would like to thank you, Mr. Barfield, for your military service. That's wonderful. We're very grateful for that, and that you want to continue serving your community. I think you bring what we need to the commission. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Paisa.
Mr. Carroll?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for volunteering to serve your community.
Of course, thank you.
And Mr. Guzman?
Thank you, Chair. I have no questions. I just would like to thank Mr. Barfield for his service, and looks like he's very well qualified, and his character is referred to, or I'm going to refer to Mr. Hokama in terms of that. So I'm very satisfied. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
And
President.
I will close by saying, Mr. Barfield, I've known you for a number of years and worked with you, and I know you have the entire package that brings Lanai into the next dimension, into the next scope of where they need to go. And I think this balance is going to be very important. And I believe it's all in the family. Now your wife comes off, you come on. I mean, the discussion on the kitchen table will be the same, just from different entities now, from different perspectives, right? So good. I'm very happy. And you're right, Mr. Okama. We need the young ones to start stepping up, because some of us older guys need to look at going out to pasture in the not too distant future. I see it. I see it. But if we got good young ones ready to step in, and don't worry, Miss Baisa, I was not referring to you. I was talking about the guys.
You better not be.
I noticed your reaction was immediate and profound. No, but all
some
joking
of us
aside.
old people know what we're doing, believe it or not.
Yeah, no, that wasn't the question. That was not the question. It's good to get engagement of all levels.
Yes,
that's what engagement. Yes. Okay, so thank you. You may have a seat, Mr. Barfield.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, council members.
Okay, thank you. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, then I'd like to make my recommendation, if I may. Yeah. I'm sorry, Mr.
Would you consider taking all the nominees for the Lanai Commission under one?
If you so choose to, yeah. I mean, I will yield to you, Mr. Okama. So, if you would like to turn to the next page, we have the nominee, Mr. James Clements. Mr. Clements was actually interviewed at our last meeting. Those that were present, we did interview him, and I didn't request him to come back again. I thought,
Understood.
So I will yield to you, Mr. Hokama, as far as Mr. Clements is concerned.
Thank you, Chairman, members. Mr. Clemens is an individual who has volunteered to give service to the Lanai community. I can tell you that from those that have shared their views with me, especially on his work with the Lanai Community Association, he's a dedicated volunteer. And yet, I can tell you, regarding his nomination to be a planning commissioner, I am quite surprised how quickly a small community can be divided. It disturbs me regarding this nomination, that it has created some divisions in a small island like our beloved Lanai. So for me, members, I'm going to just say that it's not a simple thing, but for me, I'm looking at commissioners who can try and bring community together, not divide our community. So I'm going to be recommending to you, Mr. Chairman, and this committee to place the name of Jared Barfield on Exhibit B, which is to approve, and to place Mr. Clemens' name on C, which is to disapprove. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so let me make that recommendation. Then, first of all, I would like to place the name of Mr. Jared Barfield to be approved to the Lanai Planning Commission for a term expiring March 31st, 2020, and put that, I guess, on Exhibit B, Mr. Couch. And then, for Mr. Clement, taking the recommendation of the Lanaian representative and placing the name of James Clements for disapproval for the term expiring March 31st, 2020 on Exhibit C. So, Mr. Couch.
I make the motion.
Yeah.
Okay, you go. You may make the motion. Okay, Mr. Hokama makes the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. It's been moved and seconded by Mr. Okama and seconded by Ms. Cochran to place the names of Jared Barfield for approval on Exhibit B and put the name of James Clements for disapproval and placing his name on Exhibit C. Did I do that right? I think so, yeah. Okay, very good. All those in
Go ahead,
favor, well, you know what?
discussion.
I think I'm gonna have to, yeah, discussion and I may ask for separation. I think I'm gonna ask for separation at this time. With no objections, can I separate the two items?
No objection.
No
Okay,
objections.
then I will go for Mr. Barfield first for discussion purposes. Any discussion on Mr. Barfield? Seeing none. All those in favor of approving Mr. James Barfield to the Lanai Planning Commission for a term expiring March 31st, 2020, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Let the record show 8 ayes, no noes, and 1 excused, Chair White. Now, for Mr. Clements, we will open the floor for discussion. Go ahead. Yes, Mr. Carroll.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Okama knows his island and he knows what's needed, and I'll go with his recommendation. However, I did have 28 letters of support that were delivered for him. And even though I will concur with Mr. Okama, because like I say, that's why we have district representation, I would like to say thank you to him. And it's obviously that he's very well received over there, and I would hope to see him involved at some other time in some other committee. And thank him for volunteering and for all that he does. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carroll. Ms. Paisa.
Mr. Chair, this is a difficult vote for me. I try to be fair and even-handed in looking at commissioners and in evaluating recommendations. And I too have received a number of recommendations and emails in support of the gentleman. My problem is I really don't know the Lanai community intimately, like our district representative, but you know, sometimes a person may not fit very well in a situation, but yet be the person who tends to raise the issues that nobody else wants to talk about. So this is a very difficult vote for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Cochran.
Thank you, Chair. And yeah, I'm glad that Mr. Hokama put it in the words that he did in relation to this nominee. I have the people that I do I'm close contact with on that island have had run-ins, I guess, and not such pleasant interactions with this gentleman. So for me, and not living there, I'm just hearing from people of that community that I do associate with quite a bit, and that was going to be my determining factor on this. And as Mr. Okama pointed out, this has been a difficult one that has divided that community, and so I am in support of the disapproval at this point. Thank you very much.
Mr. Couch.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I echo Ms. Bice's comments in that this is a difficult one because, yes, you know, there is a division in the community, and sometimes that helps to get all perspectives out there. And I know this is one that the planning department is supportive, because they would like to see some diversity on the planning commission. So and with my position, you know, in relation with the planning department, this is a hard one, and I'm going to have to listen to the other members, because you know, I trust Mr. Hokama's opinion, but sometimes the diversity is important. So not sure where I'm going on this one yet.
Thank you. Ms. Crivello.
Thank you. Coming from a small community where often the lens are, you know, pretty much focused on people who are of the island, and I will just support what Councilmember Hokama is saying, because his lens is much wider than mine's. Thank you.
Mr. Guzman.
Thank you, Chair. I'll just defer the recommendations by my colleague from Lanai. Thank you.
And I'll close by saying that I've had a chance to sit down with Mr. Clements a couple of times, and intriguing man. I think has a really good heart. Really has in his mind the betterment of the Lanai community, especially those that are down in the Manele and those areas down there. He seems to be very conscientious and understanding the total picture. And so this is a difficult one, and I also always value the district representative's overview of the nominee. I think if anyone knows better than any of us, would be that individual. So, Mr. Okama, I value your comments, and I take that to heart, and I guess I'll vote accordingly. But I will say that I want to thank Mr. Clements for coming forward. I think he's brought to the table really a good discussion. Now, unfortunately, when the community is divided over an individual, it says one of two things. At least the community is paying attention to what's going on around them, and I think that's very good. And it's not a rubber stamp community. And I think they're aware that their future depends on diversification in all aspects, especially planning and other boards and commissions. So I want to thank them for their engagement, and I hope that once this is all said and done, that Mr. Clements will come forward somewhere along the line. There may be something else that he could better fit for the island of Lanai and helping the people there. And so I want to thank him personally, and I want to make sure that he knows that this is really a decision made based upon what recommendations was made by Mr. Okama and by the aspect of what we feel is good for the island of Lanai. Any other questions? I would like to recognize Mr. White is back with us. Mr. White, do you want to make any comments?
No comments.
Okay, thank you. So, I will, if there's no further discussion, all those in favor of disapproving and putting Mr. James Clements on C. Yeah, I forgot. Excuse me. On C, for serving on the Lanai Planning Commission, signify by saying aye.
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 Those in favor, opposed, I should say. I hear none, no opposed. Okay. So let the record show 9 ayes, no noes, and no abstentions. I mean, not abstention, but no excused. So thank you, Mr. Clements, for your offer of service, and good luck. And Mr. Molina, then you need to get back to work and maybe talk to Mr. Okama, the district representative, and see if there's some names that can be brought forward.
Certainly, Mr. Chairman.
What? Excuse me. Ms. Brooks is doing an exemplary job, but she just doesn't let me finish. One moment. Okay. We're not done. I didn't say we're done. Okay? So thank you, Mr. Molina, and work with Mr. Okama, and let's see if we can get someone else that will better suit the community. The last one here is, hang on a second, for the Liquor Control Adjudication Board. Our next nominee for the Liquor Adjudication Board is Ms. Candice Arriaga. And so, Candice, if you'd come up to the podium, and we will ask for an opening statement in just a moment or two. But in the meantime, I will ask Mr. Molina if he would give opening comments about Ms. Arriaga and her desire to serve on the Liquor Control Adjudication Board. Mr. Molina.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and committee members. The administration is pleased to have Ms. Arriaga volunteer her time to consider serving on the Liquor Adjudication Board. She is currently employed by the Four Seasons Resort and has assured us that it would not be a problem with taking the time off to attend the monthly meeting on Maui. And she's also, I guess, wanting to volunteer her time, and like Mr. Barfield, had expressed the interest of giving back to the community in this particular area. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Ms. Arriaga, welcome.
Thank you.
Would you like to give an opening statement, please?
Well, thank you, Mr. Victorino and Mr. Hokama and the rest of the council. I'm for Liquor Commission. Liquor Commission Adjudication Board. I have lost loved ones to alcohol poisonings in the past, and I am very strong against that sort of things happening in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Okama, I will start with you again, being the district representative.
Thank you, Chairman and members. Lanai is fortunate. We have Ms. Ariaga Okimoro from Molokai, who now chooses to reside on Lanai. So I thank Ms. Cravello for sharing her residence with Lanaians. This morning, Mr. Chairman, I can tell you I am in support of Ms. Ariaga's desire to continue to give volunteer community service, not only to Lanaians but to the county of Maui. I support her activities to be better informed in an area that, as Ms. Fernandez said, she learned quite a bit. And so it's a great opportunity for Ms. Ariaga, and I believe she will represent the Lanai district as well as our Lanai businesses in a very fair and honorable fashion. So I would ask for her support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Okama. Mr. Guzman.
Nothing further. Thank you.
Mr. White.
No questions. Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Carroll. Ms. Baisa.
No questions.
Ms. Cochran.
No questions at this time.
Mr. Couch.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just looking on the thing, thank you for being here. Looking on your application, the previous county and community professional organizations, I'm not sure what that, is that PAC or?
PAC. Political.
Oh,
Political Action Committee. Yeah.
Which PAC?
ILW.
ILW. Okay. Thank you.
Ms. Crivello.
No questions, but I want to thank you for stepping up to the plate. It's good to see that Lanai has our younger generation stepping up to it, you know. And even if you move from Molokai, we appreciate you being here. Mahalo.
We do.
Thank you.
Might send her back. Maybe she go back someday. I don't know.
No, we keep in her. We keep.
Oh, okay. Anyhow, any further discussion? Seeing none, then I'd like to make my recommendation.
Recommendation.
The chair would like to entertain a motion to approve the nomination of Candice Ariaga to the Liquor Control Adjudication Board for a term expiring March 31st, 2020. Mr. Couch.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to put the name of Candice Ariaga on Exhibit B of the resolution.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Couch, seconded by Mr. Okama, to approve the nomination of Candice Ariaga to the Liquor Adjudication Board for a term expiring March 31st, 2020. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Let the record show 9 ayes, no noes, and no excused. Congratulations, Ms. Ariaga. Good luck. We have one final commission. This was the nominee is for the Maui County Cultural Resource Commission, and that's Ms. Christy Kajiwara Guzman. We have already interviewed her. I think she's here. If anybody else would like to interview her, I will allow that. She did testify earlier. But is there any member requesting her to come up? Do they have any questions they would like clarification on from Ms. Kajiwara Guzman? Seeing none, thank you. Mr. Molina, would you like to provide any further comments as far as the reappointment of Ms. Kajiwara Guzman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Other than what was stated at the previous February 18th meeting, we still would like to ask for your consideration for the nomination of Ms. Kajiwara Guzman to the Cultural Resources Commission. And as was stated in testimony by the Deputy Planning Director, Ms. Guzman has been showing up to all of the meetings, and she's also, by our accounts, she has been participating in the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Further discussion? Yes, Mr. Carroll.
Thank you, Chair. I find this one very difficult. The last meeting we had, of course, the discussion about putting the sign up and all that. And that we weren't there, and so I didn't think too much of it. But when your testimony was given today, I was disturbed by when she disagrees with somebody that she attacks. And I found that very disturbing. When we put people on boards and commissions, we want to have those people over there that people feel comfortable going to see, that they'll get a fair hearing, that they won't be attacked if they say something wrong. And it was obvious that I'm sure she's a very nice person, but she has a temper, and it is her mindset. And that came out in the testimony today. And because of that, I cannot support this nomination. Thank you.
Ms. Paisa.
In spite of what has been said here, I am probably going to support Ms. Guzman, and the reason is I want to put all of this stuff behind us. I think that, you know, we all went through a very, very difficult time. It was probably, for me, as far as I can remember, one of the hardest times that we have ever gone through in terms of a community that was divided, a community that was on alert, lots of confrontations and people feeling uncomfortable, looking at your back, not sure if somebody was going to hit your car or whatever. It was a bad time. I want to put that behind us. I think Ms. Guzman really cares about this community. She's very dedicated, works very hard, and I'd like to give her a chance and see where it goes. You know, people say, oh, you know, she gets angry. Well, which one of us put in a situation like that doesn't get angry? I think we have tempers in this room also. So, and of course, I'm not going to mention any names. But I'd like to give her the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Cochran.
Thank you, Chair. And throughout the deliberations in regards to this nominee, I have stated my stance on this, and I will continue to stand by the opposition. And has nothing to do, as Ms. Baisa is saying, put it behind, it has nothing to do with all that, but it has to do with just the general appearance and proof that, and within testimony today and also in written and on social media, wherever, that this person tends to have, yeah, there's a lot of passion. Yeah, there's a lot of energy and perhaps anger and things of that nature. Yes, we all have it, but I think it borders on the verge of going overboard and being vicious at times and being, again, not being approachable or level-headed, as Mr. Carroll was saying. So for me, that instability, and character, for me, is not befitting for a commissioner, and especially on the Cultural Resource Commission, where things can be controversial, things can be very hard to, you know, just hard to take and stuff. So I, again, will just stand by my continued stance on this nominee. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Couch.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Boy, you know, we talk about temper, and as Ms. Baisa said, I don't think anybody on here hasn't lost their temper on this board right here. So I think temper is something that I'm surprised that people are going on that. Having been involved heavily with, everybody here was involved heavily with the election and all the stuff that was going on, I can imagine if people get pushed too far, they push back. There's, every one of us here has pushed back on people, I'm sure, when confronted with the things that people were confronted with. If you look at the record of this person on the Cultural Resources Commission, she's attended every meeting. This person, I know personally, holds the culture very dear. And to say that one incident makes or breaks a person, that would be totally unfair, because, you know, we've all had one incident that could make or break us, but we push through it and we make it work. So I think it would be very unfair to oppose someone who does a great job on the Cultural Resources Commission and has the culture of Hawaii at heart. You know, we went against some people who didn't weren't cultural, to have the cultural background on other commissions, and people spoke from their heart and with passion. I just find it strange that somebody who has the passion for this culture is being excluded. So I fully support Ms. Guzman on this committee.
Ms. Crivello.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I don't know this applicant, but I would have to look at this as being a reappointment. I too would want to have the consideration for her qualification for the Culture Resources Commission. And I recall when she did step up to the plate at the initial appointment, there was a passion that relates back to her ohana. Though she's from Kauai and she's made Maui her home, it's what kind of flavor do we bring to this commission? And I would like to think, first of all, she brings the flavor of our host culture, as well as the flavor of the local culture, which I think just having someone with this much passion may be able to inoculate what we're looking for in people who have the commitment and the what resources that we value here in Maui County. As far as the I would say the initiative of the yes and no issues, I too would like us to move forward. It was a very intense time in our election process, and now if we can move forward with all of that, and hopefully she'll recognize, and this is all just part of our growing pains, that to be open. I'm sure she has been as being of service to our community. So I will be in support of her reappointment.
Thank you, Ms. Crivello. Mr. Hokama. No. Mr. Guzman.
Thank you, Chair. My position is I have reservations which basically stem from being cautious to avoid any foreseeable media issues in the future. I know that both testifiers, both Mr. Brian Lehman and Christy Guzman, indicated there were police reports filed. Now, when police report, and I'm just going to give you a brief background, Chair, if I can. When police reports are filed or by the police department, they are eventually transferred to the prosecutor's office. Regardless of whether the alleged victims want to pursue it or they say they want to dismiss it, it's not their choice to do so. That discretion clearly lies with the prosecutor's office. So since those two cases are pending at the prosecutor's office, I have no idea whether they're going to be going forward to the court system or not until the victims receive a letter from the prosecutor's office saying that it's NP'd, which is nolo pros, no pros, or they receive a call from the prosecutor's office interviewing them about the case. And it appears as though neither one of them have been called by the prosecutor's office. So in my mind and in my analysis, I believe that those cases are still pending at the prosecutor's office. So unfortunately, there are pending cases. I just feel uncomfortable moving forward. This has nothing to do, notwithstanding Christy Guzman's reputation or her character. I know she does a good job on the commission, and I know her personally. I just feel in an abundance of caution that I cannot move forward on this at this time. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Mr. White.
No comments, thank you.
Thank you. I did do a little research, Mr. Guzman, as far as the situation. You are correct. But also, I did a little more research as far as how this is perceived if you were applying for a job or applying for a position somewhere. And according to my report back that I received from the staff, is that this cannot be taken into consideration. You can for yourself personally, and there's no question about that part. Yeah, absolutely. But it's not something that's can be put on the table as far as a reason to disapprove or approve. Okay, because this is not part of it, and she has no conviction to the matter. Neither party. They filed their complaints, and like you said, it's still in limbo. We don't know where it is, right? So I think that I just wanted to make sure that that is clear, and I think you've helped me make that clear today, so that what we're dealing with is her reappointment based upon what she's done in totality. Okay, and you have your rationale and your belief, and I respect that. But I will say that I can also support Ms. Guzman. She has a passion. She has that fire. She's a little spark plug, and I really appreciate that. Yes, sometimes we have to be careful what we say because it comes back later. But haven't we all stuck our big foot in our big mouths? I have. Put it right here, Boy Scouts honor. And I know everybody's saying, not me, not me. Well, I'm willing to admit that. I'm willing to admit at times in the passion, on the passion of the battle, we say things and then we go, oh, you step back. But no offense was meant. We're trying to make a point. We're trying to do what is right for the people of Maui County. So I can support Ms. Guzman. I think she's done a real yeoman's job on the commission, on the Cultural Commission. She's been there. She's been an active participant. She does love the culture. I know that for a fact. She shared many times with myself and my wife ideas and concepts, and I truly appreciate that. And this is one of our local farmers farming in my district, Waihe'e, and I know they try real diligently to produce subsistence for our community, and I want to thank them for that. So they bring a whole package to the table, and the local perspective is appreciated also. But remember, Ms. Guzman, whatever you say does and can come back to bite you later. So always think before you say something. I think this is very important. Look who I'm preaching to. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Anyhow, with that being said, any further discussion? If not, I would like to make my recommendation, please. Okay. I would like to move for the approval of for the reappointment of Miss Christy Kajiwara Guzman to the County Cultural and Resource Commission for a term ending March 31st, 2020. Mr. Couch.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to put the name of Christy Kajiwara Guzman on Exhibit B.
Mr. Chair, I second the motion.
It has been moved by Mr. Couch, seconded by Ms. Baisa, to approve the nomination of Ms. Christy Kajiwara Guzman to the Maui County Cultural Resource Commission for the term expiring March 31st, 2020. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No.
Okay, I'm going to call for roll call. See, I had a senior moment. Roll call, please. Ms. Brooks, roll call. What? No, you have to do it in the microphone. Yeah, please come up here. Sorry, I caught you off guard.
Mr. Carroll.
No.
Ms. Bison.
Aye.
Ms. Cochran.
No.
Mr. Couch.
Aye.
Ms. Crivella.
Aye.
Mr. Hokama.
Aye.
Mr. Guzman.
No.
Mr. White.
No.
Mr. Victorino.
Aye. The vote was 5-4 in favor of the approval of Ms. Christy Kajiwara Guzman to the Maui County Cultural and Resource Commission. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And again, Ms. Guzman, heed the words, please. Okay? Thank you very much. Let me see. I think we're at the end of the calendar. Oh, thank
The
you very
resolution, Mr. Chair?
Huh?
Do we actually have to do the resolution now? Do we not?
Yeah, the total resolution. That's why we're at the end of the calendar. Okay? Quick recess.
Grandma, you like that? Oh, no. Like, hello. Oh, give me the hole. Give me the hole, boy. Give me the hole. All right.
The Intergovernmental Affairs Committee will reconvene. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the appointment of all the members to the boards and commissions for the County of Maui, the proposed resolutions to approve the mayor's following nominees to the various boards and commissions for the term beginning April 1st, 2015 and expiring March 31st, 2020, unless otherwise indicated. Mr. Couch.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to adopt the resolution entitled Appointment of the Members to the Boards and Commissions for the County of Maui, and with all the revisions we made today.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I second the motion.
It's been moved by Mr. Couch, seconded by Ms. Baisa, to approve the resolution entitled Appointments to Members to the Boards and Commissions for the County of Maui, and all the revisions that we made. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Let the record show 8 ayes, 1 excused, Ms. Crivello. And thank you very much, members. That completes our, I think. Oh, okay. One more thing. At the last meeting, I requested for members to bring forward nominations to the various commissions that we were now asked to bring forward. I understand there's been some considerations. This was the Commission on Children and Youth and the Maui County Cultural Resource Commission, Lanaian seat. You know, we're looking for somebody from Lanai. And so I am looking if there is anyone that would like to put in any names, the applications, I would like to receive them at this time. Do we have any? Mr. Hokama.
I'll be submitting a name to you, Chairman, for the Cultural Resources.
Okay, okay. Anybody else? Anybody on the Commission on Children and Youth of Maui? Nothing? Okay. So as soon as you can, Mr. Hokama, I'd appreciate it.
We'll get it to you this afternoon.
Okay, thank you very much. With no further business, this meeting of the Policy and Intergovernment Committee is now adjourned.
Yay.
Thank you, everybody.